Good evening once again, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Yes, yeah. Oh man, whoo! Our last, well, no.
We have one more.
We have one more.
Yeah, one more.
I was thinking, I'm like, well, how odd is that? The 31st is only 7 days. I'm like, well, it's always only 7 days after. Quickly caught that in my head. I'm like, oh, the math of that is, it's always, yeah, okay.
How was Christmas for you?
You know what? The nicest thing. Didn't get to see family, extended family. We did some Zoom conferencing to see how people were doing and messaging.
Probably many of you did too.
Yep. Called my mom, talked to my father-in-law, and then just kind of chilled at home with our kids. We do a special dinner stuff, just like we do Thanksgiving. You know, we have a roast thing that I make, and anyway, we do the whole kind of thing, and that's one of our highlights of the year because it's like. We eat, I don't think about the calories, I don't think about nothing. I just like, oh, my wife makes this pilaf, my son makes this tabbouleh salad that is phenomenal, my daughter makes these, the sweet potato things and these potatoes, anyway, it's all good. We all contribute different things, and it's so good.
I think that's one of the cool traditions. You told me that a couple of years ago, that you all kind of bring your gift. And probably many of you have had the same experience today as the Christmas dinners have been taking place, and now the aftermath. And that's where I usually step in, is come clean it up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that we all, and that one we all do. Generally, the people who kind of cook more, and that's actually what I also do. I'll get up and I'll start cleaning stuff away, put stuff in the dishwasher. It'll usually take about 3 runs of the dishwasher with everything we do, and it's like we use like almost every dish. Like, how did we use all this? But that's part of it.
Well, we had a great day too. Two of our kids, 3 kids, were here, so that was really nice, and so we enjoyed that. We do it's kind of a weird thing, but we have sushi at Christmas.
Oh,
and Amy,
is that from? I mean, because you student missionary, did you pick it up from that, or
just kind of something we started doing, and that history of being there, being a student missionary overseas in Japan, we like it. But it started about 10 years ago, and so we make it's homemade, and so we all got to jump in together, and they jump in together, and I cleaned it up afterwards.
I understand how that works. So did you have any home roasted coffee too? Because I know that's also
Yes, we did, because one of our kids were home that loved that, so we did have some home roasted coffee. But it's nice to see you. Yeah. It's nice to be here this evening. Now, last week, as we were just getting ready for the holidays, you kind of gave us a little bit of a tease.
I did. We have a story of 3 visitors to somebody promising a child being born, and it sounds very similar.
It's Jesus. It's not.
It's not. Follow us as we go to Genesis chapter 18. Genesis chapter 18. A lot of you are going to be familiar with the thing, but you may not have noticed some of the parallels between this story and the birth of Christ.
Oh, that's awesome. So we're going to go Genesis 18.
Genesis chapter 18. And some of you might even have in your Bible, like in mine, at the heading of the top of the chapter, it says Abraham and 3 visitors. Mm-hmm. Just like you have the 3 wise men in the New Testament and a promise of a child, you're going to have the same thing here. There are several things that show up.
Okay.
So the context... do you want to know the context?
Sure.
Okay.
So, we know the story of Abraham.
Yep.
And basically, he's been promised generations, of people that can be part of his seed.
Yep.
But he doesn't have one child.
No.
And so how...
He's just about 100.
He's just about 100 years.
About 98.
And his wife's about 90.
Yep.
And so it seems like that their years of childbearing are kind of behind them.
Kind of behind with things, like, okay.
But the promise is still out there somewhere. It's kind of almost hanging over them. Wow. This promise is there.
I just realized, this is actually like both part of the stories. This is also like Elizabeth and...
oh, of course. Yes. Zechariah.
Yes!
Both very much...
Like both stories combined.
Yes.
Like this story is a foreshadowing of Zechariah and Elizabeth and Mary and Joseph.
Wow,
I missed that.
That's even deeper. That's awesome.
Just right now.
So you can imagine, and the other thing I wanted to say about this is that in the biblical times and Middle Eastern times, there's very much a welcoming spirit when you were traveling and you would come upon. So it's not strange that these 3 visitors are coming to visit. Right. What happens next?
And it's also not strange that Abraham doesn't know who they are, but he calls them in and he makes a dinner, and he has his wife make a lot of the dinner. But he does, and he doesn't eat while they eat. They're just guests, and he doesn't know anything special about them.
Correct.
But they reveal themselves, And Abraham begins to figure out, wait a second, something different is here. So I'm going to just pick up a little bit, and I'm going to have you kind of read verse 14. I want to skip to, so just chapter 18 of Genesis, right? So verse 6, Abraham hastened to the tent to Sarah and said, make some, this and make that. I'm just, again, Abraham ran to the herd, he fetched a calf, and he gave it to a young man who dressed it. He took butter and milk and the calf, and so he makes this whole meal, right? And what I find fascinating, it says he runs from here and he runs to here and make haste and do this. And his sense of urgency is just about preparing food for them. He doesn't actually know who they are. We haven't had any idea that he knows who they are yet.
But Deb, let me stop for a minute. This is probably the reality of a Christmas dinner. Most of us live in a fast food realm.
That's true. That's true.
This did not happen soon. So these guests are here. Now he's running to get all the things together, but it's going to take time. So they're there a while.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how long you take sushi, but I have to make the roast a day and a half before it needs to season. But when we're cooking, like Thanksgiving or Christmas, we'll be cooking from 8 in the morning until about 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
We don't eat usually until about 4.
Okay.
I mean, it's an all day to get all the stuff going. And that's just part and parcel of the celebration time together. And I imagine it was sort of like that. People are cooking and they're eating and they're cooking this and that. Because certain things don't get roasted right away, or milk or butter, which would have been made fresh, because they didn't have a fridge.
And these visitors probably were welcome to rest, nap if they needed to. They've been traveling. Yeah, sit down.
Where are you from?
Exactly.
A long ways away.
Okay. That's correct. All right.
And anyway, so Sarah is by the door of the tent, and the men, the 3 visitors and Abraham, are out in, under a tree, it sounds like, the description. And the one main visitor says, Sarah is going to have a child. All right, so let's pick up with verse 9, where the visitor, there's so many things here I want to just kind of think, well, quick. We're going to go 9 through 15. And 14 is our punchline, but just so you kind of have the whole story, I don't want you to think I'm cutting it off.
We'll go all the way?
Sure.
All right. Verse 9. Where's your wife Sarah? They asked him. There in the tent, he said. Then the Lord said, I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son. Now Sarah was listening to the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already old and well advanced in years, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, after I'm worn out and my master is old, will I now have this pleasure? Then the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh? Will I really have a child now that I'm old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, I did not laugh. But he said, yes, you did laugh.
There's so much. I love the fact right off the bat, even though it wasn't culturally, right, the women be over here, God's first question is, where's your wife? Why isn't she out here?
Yeah.
She's part of the party. I always look at that. I don't think I'm reading into it. I think it was God's subtle way of saying, I made it Adam and Eve. You guys were equals, partners, supposed to be here. She did a bunch of the work. I know that. You're out here with me. Where's your wife?
Right.
And he answered, well, she's in the tent, as if that should be enough of an answer, right? So then he has to have this conversation.
Right.
She's going to have a child. Now, we're not told that Abraham says anything.
Right, there's nothing indication.
But Sarah, by herself, says, this guy's off his rocker, right? And then God says, why'd your wife laugh? I love it because he's talking to him. It's like, if you'd have just brought her out here, this would all be easier faster. Why'd she laugh? And he's like, I don't know why she laughed. I didn't know she laughed, right? He doesn't know anything. He's sort of the bystander of like, you guys are having this 3-way conversation I'm not a part of. She's like, I didn't laugh. No, you did.
Right.
But the part, and again, all that to me is humorous. But the part to me that I love, that I never caught till this time, is God twice says, you're going to have a child, and I'm going to come back.
Right. Oh, right. Yes. Okay.
And we have no record. I looked past it. There's no record that he showed up. I'm not, but he said it, so I know it happened because God never lies.
Right.
And he always keeps his promises. And I thought, his whole reason of showing up isn't to say, I told you so. His whole reason is like, there's going to be a baby and I want to celebrate.
Yes.
And I think that is just like the coolest thing. You're going to have a child. Don't lie.
Yeah.
I'm not lying. And I'm going to be here for that.
Right.
I'm going to be here to welcome in, and we're going to have a party. It's going to be a celebration of this birthday. So these three people, wise men, sort of like, right, visitors, come bearing a gift to these two, which is the gift of the child, and says, I'm going to be back so we can celebrate. I just think that is the coolest picture of God.
That is a really cool picture. Especially on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
And the master of the universe can go, like, I got other things to do. It's like, no, this is important.
Yeah.
I want to be here for this.
To celebrate this.
And I don't know. I mean, Isaac would have seen Jesus, right? Abraham, we know, did, because, Jesus even says that in John chapter 88. Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and was glad, right? But we don't think about that Isaac could say, and who showed up to your birthday party? Oh, well, God showed up to mine, right? It's like the ultimate, mic drop, and okay. Every other gift actually pales, right?
Yeah.
I got you gold, I got you 7 encyclopedias. Oh, God showed up. Okay, never mind,
Another thing, we were reading this, and we were reading this together and talking about, the one thing that struck me too, kind of a takeaway after this, is that God does, again, the impossible, because, in his story, the virgin birth.
Yes.
And what she's saying, this is impossible,
right?
Because I'm old.
Yes.
I'm not.
It's as much a virgin birth, like they're basically dead, which I think is what the writer of Hebrews says. She gave birth, themselves being dead, right? But obviously they're not dead. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just phenomenal. Now I got to tell you, as we look ahead sometimes, and we want to celebrate Christmas here, this celebration, but next week. We are finally about out of 2020.
Exactly what I'm thinking of celebrating. Yeah, so haven't thought there yet, but we're going to have a story that's going to be celebrating new beginnings.
Yes.
Closing of the end and starting of the new, which I think will be really appropriate for 2020, 2021 as we move out past this. But again, a vignette, a picture of God willing to not erase the past, but to move on and give it a new perspective. And I think I have a story in mind that just occurred to me about moving on and a new beginning.
Yeah.
So, and I think that would be kind of cool. But interesting little vignette there. Hope you kind of enjoyed it.
Look forward to seeing you again next week for the December 31. And thank you so much for your time there, especially on Christmas. And Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you so much.
Hey, and if you have any questions, D. Gregory at MontereyBayAcademy.org and principal at MontereyBayAcademy.org. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you. Bye.